So this has been spinning for a while now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and clean off some of the scales that I want to stay really bright. And the angle that I'm using right now, it's kind of tough to see. This glitter's so shiny that it's like reflecting weird. It's hard to get a clean, like a nice clean clear view. This is a paring knife that I was talking about. That's dull, like I can't cut anything with that. But I'm just using it to kind of wipe away some of this glitter that I don't want on here. Ooh, that made a mess. Oh, and the color glitter I was talking about earlier from Mr. Nola's Glitter that that I like making kind of my own out of. The mix that I like to make is similar to the Ain't There No More collection. It has like Mackenzie, is it Rosenberg? I think. And a few other ones. Some before my time. But it was a gorgeous, gorgeous collection. But like I said, there's like some almost diamond shaped pieces that give off this hollow look to it. And it's pretty. It's super, super pretty, but not what I want when I'm trying to make that one. All right, I have a piece that came up right here. There we go. And then still just trying to go through and take off some of these. This epoxy is still a little gooey. It'd be a lot easier if it was cured a little more, but I am impatient and my boys will be home from school soon. And they come in starving and excited and loud. And I really want to get this done because I won't be around this weekend. Yay! This doesn't have to be perfect either. I just want you to be able to tell what that shape is. Because like I said, right here is going to get a power wash. Anything that is navy, that like I intentionally made navy, I'm going to do my best to kind of really get those pieces out the way. Because that dark, dark navy next to the glitter really stands out. So pretty. Get a piece of alcohol napkin. There we go. And you can see it just kind of popping right off. That's all I'm trying to do here. I wonder if, where's my baby wipes? I usually have a ton of dry baby wipes on hand. I just stick them in the dryer and kind of use them as I need it. I put them in an old tissue box and they come in very, very handy for wiping away paint, cleaning up epoxy. Just throw them in the dryer and get all the moisture out of it and then save them. Definitely be careful when you're doing this because even though we sealed the paper right here, it's still paper. So definitely be careful that you're not, you know, taking away the top layers of cardstock. Like I said, you can just chip it away. I feel like I want something right there. What's that? Let's see. Definitely got to clean this one up. Just smush down around it. Make sure you can tell what that shape is. Can't exactly tell what that is right there, but other way. That's gonna have Powerwash on it, so no biggie. All right, so that's it. We're gonna let this spin for a bit longer, then come back with epoxy and start those layers so we can get a decal on it. We're getting to our first layer of epoxy now. That spun for a little bit, and then I took it outside and I just grabbed my clear gloss spray paint, the 2x sealer, Rust-Oleum clear spray paint, and I just gave it a few light but good coats of the clear sealer. That's going to help my glitter to stay in place so it doesn't want to move. I took my time and went through and got off some of the glitter from the pieces that I really wanted to stay navy. But at the same point, some of those just wasn't quite worth the fight. And it ends up looking so pretty. So some of it are like clear pieces of navy and some of them aren't, and that is okay. So I have this on, and this is Mr. Nola's Speed Dry Epoxy. Absolutely love this stuff. So we won't have that much time to wait between it. Since it's a chunky glitter, this epoxy always works out the bubbles on its own, but since this is a chunky glitter, I really take a minute to get my torch and make sure there aren't any bubbles, because I do put on thick coats. I really like using thick coats of epoxy to cover this first little bit. And look, I don't know if y'all can see this. It's amazing. Every single time, I'm telling you, it blows me away. They do not have any bubbles in here. I'm probably just wasting butane at this point. You see? Nope, nothing. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, I'm gonna let this go for a bit, then I'll come back with another coat of epoxy just because I wanna make sure that it is really good and coated everywhere, and a decent coat. That way when I go to sand it to knock off any big bumps, I won't have any problems with like nicking my glitter or taking you know, any of that shine off of it. Not quite sure if Nola's does that. I know there's a few glitters I've used before where like if you go to sand it too close, you like mess up that color. And I don't really think I have that problem with this. I think there's a thicker navy that I use that might do it. I forgot which one it is, but I haven't had that problem with these. So let this go for a bit and then we'll come back with another coat. All right, so I have this spinning for a minute and I need to add my gold to the bottom. It's going to be not even a full ombre, just a few drops, and have it go up a little. So we're going to pull that. This is still on the first coat of epoxy. This is before we got to that second. We're doing a little line around the bottom and then tilt it up so it can fall. So the same thing right here, a little line around the bottom and then tilt it up so it can fall. This is still gonna have that, sorry, I'm trying to think and do this, the Powerwash over it. So this doesn't have to be perfect. It's just enough to give a little accent to it. It's gonna come out really pretty. So that's about all we're doing, just enough to the bottom. I'm going to double check for a few spots that I wanted to have a little more, as it didn't quite fall the way I wanted. That was one spot that it looked like it just ended. I'm just sprinkling it up. And then what I want to do from here, because I don't want to have to fight with this and I don't want to have to press it down, I want it to lay into the glitter, is I'm going to take, ooh, I almost spilled all that. I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to hit the cup with it just enough to soften the epoxy a tad so that it soaks it in. While you're doing this, you can see some of the pieces that are sticking up just kind of lay flat. That's all we want it to do right now. We don't want to heat it up enough where that it starts moving. It's just enough to kind of get it to soak that piece in. Okay, so excuse the mess that I have going on in the background here, but I'm just going to show you this part real quick. So I no longer do the bottoms of my cup as far as epoxy and a design on there. I take off this sticker right here and I do sink my logo into here. And by what I mean is I have these 1-inch round stickers. And what I do is I'll pop this little cap off. I'll show you real quick. There we go. Just pop that little cap off. And then I clean this up real good with acetone. I take my sticker, I put it in there and I get the heat gun to help just kind of soften it up and really heat it into place. And then I'll take either quick setting epoxy. Most of the time I do take UV epoxy and I'll put that on and then just go sit out in the sunlight for a few minutes or use a lamp. If it's a cloudy day or the rain weather's not quite cooperating, then I will do speed dry epoxy and just set it into place. That way my logo's still on there. As far as the bottom, like I said, I don't do that glitter. I just have that logo on the bottom. The rest of this is the bottom of the cup. And what I do is I take my cup edging tool from Wicked Shimmer. I have it on the lowest setting with a piece of black under it, and I shove a knife in. The purpose of putting the knife in there is that when it's not in there, from applying the pressure to cut through some of the epoxy, your blade will want to wiggle. And you'll get like this really uneven line, and having your knife in there just stabilizes it a bit. So then we just take the cup and just press it around, and you go in circles a few times, and that's going to cut through the epoxy. And then after you get that, stand up for this, after you get it loosened up, you just take a piece off and you're able to pop it off, and then just follow it around in a circle. This knife, I know the whole don't cut towards yourself thing, but this knife is super, super dull. One of the other easy ways is, instead of pulling it that way, is to just take it and go along here and it will pop up too. There's times where you do this and it will come up so easily, especially if it's fresh. If you if you're using speed dry and you just put the epoxy on, and then you do this right after that layer cures, you're able to get this off in like one big piece. This was done a few days ago and it's been sitting for the weekend. As long as it's taking me to get this tutorial done, guys. It's been sitting for the weekend, so this epoxy is fairly set. Doing this is not going to break the seal on the epoxy for your tumbler. What's going to happen is that to get this sealed up really good, I clean it off. I need my magic eraser. That works a lot better. But I have acetone. I clean this off right here. And then when I get to the step of sanding stuff, I'm going to sand this on an angle down. Oh goodness, I was way off. I'll sand this down right here. And then for the next layers of epoxy, I'll drag it over that crease. I'll make sure that I push it in there to really seal it up. And have like a nice, you don't have any rough edges. And then I'll just kind of curve it a little down, and that will help secure that seam. So we're going to go through, we're going to clean this off, like I said, just with acetone. And then we're going to get it outside and do the power wash to give me some bubbles on the top and bottom. Alright, I'm not going to waste your time with this video, so I will cut you off and get back to outside. Okay, so we have our Dawn Power Wash. We're going to shake it up a little. It comes in this little spray bottle, and you get really good bubbles when you shake it up. So what you do is you spray this power wash where you don't want the paint to stick to. So I like to go right here in the middle. That way it shows bubbles through here. And we're going to put bubbles along the top and the bottom. We have that, and we have our white spray paint. I have my hose running to wash off the spray paint once I get to that part. So I'm just going to give a few sprays across. And I'm kind of going heavier along that middle part of the cup and letting the bubbles kind of drop around the other side. And then I'm going to spray paint just the ends. I'm doing just the ends of this. so that I can get those really nice bubbles. And then you're gonna take your hose or water and just rinse it off. And what you'll have is this really pretty bubble look, just kind of coming up from the top and bottom. And that's all you have to do. We're gonna let this dry. Okay, so what I'm doing now is that I have my power wash done, and I'm taking my dry baby wipes that I always use. I put them in the dryer to take all the moisture out, and then I just shove them in an old tissue box. I feel like whenever I'm wiping away paint, it holds the acetone a lot longer than a regular napkin, and I'm able to use it a lot. Like, it doesn't break down as quick. And I don't know, I like the way it works. So what I'm doing right here is I don't want it to be a complete straight line of where the bubbles end, and I'm also going to look for any bubbles that may not have come out the way that I liked. This one actually came out pretty good. Like, I don't think I want to wipe anything away on this, so I may just leave this one like this. But to give you a little example, like right here, you see how it's heavy white? If I wanted to add a bubble, you just take your fingernail poking through and you just make little circles around it. This is enough to wipe the paint away, and then what you'll do is you'll take rubbing alcohol, and then from there you can go in and clean up kind of what's smudgy inside of that area. So we'll go just around the rim to help that blend in. And they don't have to be perfect circles or perfect lines. It's gonna all, you know, tie together once it's done. But just put a few kind of around to help play it off. The really good thing about this part is that if you don't like the way it came out, all you have to do is take your acetone, wipe away your spray paint, and then you can go again. Like, no harm done if you decide you don't like the way it came out. Oh, when I said about cleaning up the bottom of the cup and sanding it, we didn't sand it yet. You don't want this to be sanded when you go into your spray paint step, because if it is, all that spray paint will get stuck in the ridges of where the spray paint went, and it's going to be a nightmare to clean off. So don't sand it yet. Make sure you have a smooth, clear coat of epoxy before you do that spray paint step. So we're gonna see if we have a spot that's flat enough for a decal, and as long as we do, we're gonna go straight on with the decal. If I cannot find a flat spot, then I'm going to right here. This feels good. No, there's a bump. All right, I don't want to sand over the spray paint, so I'll do another layer of epoxy to seal this all in, and then I'll take it out, sand it, and then we'll go in with the decal, because I don't want my decal to have bumps in it from this glitter, from any sharp pieces. So epoxy and then decal time. All right, so I have my cup sanded. I went ahead and did the second coat, and I sanded it where my decal is going to go. That way it's a smooth surface, so I'm not going to have any bumps or weird ridges under my decal. Since this is like I said, it's a 4-in-1 can cooler. We have it where the top of the lid screws on. You can see this one right here. So it does have those ridges where the lid's gonna close a certain way. Whenever I do these, I like to make sure I have my lid on and close about how it's gonna be if you're using it. That way the decal will line up in the right spot as the lid. Another thing that I do, and I think this is just a personal preference, is that I put my decal on the opposite side of where you drink from. So like this decal needs to have the name, the cup needs to have the name Jess on it. I'm gonna put that where she drinks out of, and the main decal, the design of the cup, is gonna face out so people see it whenever they're, whenever she's using it. I have this little decal Tan and Tipsy. I got the image, the Tan and Tipsy wording from Etsy. And then this little frame, that was a separate listing, I believe, that I purchased. And then I put it together, and then I just did the offset in Cricut Design Space. So with laying this on here, I don't want it to lay flat. I want it to have like a bit of an angle on it. I feel like it plays on the whole Tan and Tipsy design a little better. So I'm gonna angle it a little and get this on the cup. Goodness, I must have set my blade too deep, because the back of this, I'm trying to weed it in the back of the, you see how it's peeling apart on me? Definitely had that set too deep. So I'm just going to take my blade and go on the back of it and just lift up the back of that paper. I kind of stacked the image, well not kind of, I stacked the image before I started recording, that way it would make this part a little easier, a little quicker, but I didn't think to loosen the decal. Alright, so I'm just going to work this off the back. Just carefully take your X-Acto knife, if this happens to you, and separate the decal from the paper. Be careful if you do that, because if you're a little too aggressive, you're going to cut through that decal and then you'll have to recut the whole thing again. Also, a better transfer taper, good lord. A better transfer tape would be, like a better quality, would be easier for this. I just use clear contact paper. I use it for a lot of stuff and it's cheap. So that's probably definitely another reason why I'm struggling with it. And then I'll turn the cup in a minute. I'm just gonna get this on here in the right spot. I'm gonna make sure it's lined up with the front of that. And then since this is a curved, you know, a tapered tumbler, this decal is going to lay on here a lot more tricky than if it was just a regular surface. So what I'm doing is I'm going to start around these edges. I'm going to get all that perfect, and then I can cut a little circle right here around that bubble, and it won't be that noticeable, just to help it really lay on the paper right. Another thing you can do, lay on the cup right. Another thing you can do is lift up your decal, put one side down, and kind of release it from your transfer tape a little, and that will help you stretch it around the cup better. All right, so I'm gonna make sure this main part of it is laid down. This corner's good. I'm going to lay down this big piece of the design because these bubbles will be the easiest part to play off. Okay, so for here you can see where I have a few ridges where it didn't lay down straight. So what I'm going to do, and I didn't press this down all the way up at this top part, and you can see how easily it's coming off right there. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling it and I'm just kind of stretching it out some. And see that corner, that bubble that was right here. I can't speak today, guys. This bubble that was right here just completely laid down. So I'm going to do the same thing right here. And you can see that bubble right there. You can see where they meet up right at the center. I need a better blade. I don't know where I put it. Oh, right here. All right, I have a sharp blade, and I'm just going to outline that circle. That way it cuts easier, and then I can lay that down and I can trim it up. All right, so that's laid down, and then we're going to work on this one. So for this, it's kind of a bigger spot that's bubbled up. There's no way you can epoxy that, so I'm actually going to trim this right here. Actually not, I'm going to go down. I'm going to trim right above where the top of that seashell is. And then we'll just take our X-Acto knife again and kind of wiggle it down. You don't want to go really forceful and lift up on it because you'll stretch it out and you'll give it a really funky look, and you kind of can't come back from that. So just wiggle that up, push it down so that it fits, and then go again. And then you can see how it overlaps right there pretty bad. We're going to clean that up and then just press it down. Like I said, doing this on a completely straight, this decal on a completely straight tumbler is a lot easier because you don't have these curves to work with and you don't have to do all this work, but it ends up still looking really nice. Sorry if you couldn't see that. I'm just trimming this part out. This mirrored vinyl is so shiny that I'm getting a glare from my where my windows are across the room, and it's tough to see if I'm not like right up on it. Okay, so that's down all the way. I have a few spots that I realized I didn't weed out, so I'm going to pick those pieces off. And then we'll get the name on the back. I feel like this the Cricut mirrored vinyl is so tough to weed sometimes. It kind of wants to do its own thing. But if you kind of rock it, get out of the way, you can kind of rock it back and forth, it separates a lot easier. And this is actually the last part that I'm going to show you guys for this tumbler, because this is it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to do a coat of epoxy on it, see how that comes out. If anything is rough, then I'll take it over to my sink, and I have some like wet sandpaper that I use, and I'll take that, wet it, smooth down any bumps that I have, and then go on with a final coat. All right, so get that off. And then I don't want to take up too much of the design, so I'm just going to put this across the back on the bottom. And this is one of those things where I get to some tumblers and I hate putting like a big decal on it, but this is one of those you just don't want to walk away. So we'll get that down on here, smooth it in. I'm going to bring this to the front because there's some pieces, when I put this down, I didn't press super hard just to make sure that I got it. And I want to make sure that it's really on there. So I'm going to smooth that on. And that's it. That's all we have for that. And like I said, guys, this is a 4-in-1 can cooler from stainless steel from Hog, you know, the Hog tumbler. It comes with this little insert for the cans, and then it comes with a lid and straw, so it fits the skinny cans, the regular Coke can size, and then bottles, and can be used as a regular tumbler. Regular tumbler. So 16 ounces for this one, and I absolutely love it. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will list and link everything that I use in the descriptions. All right, guys, let me know if you have any questions.